Take two. This is Stephen, the Disney Drago Robinson. You're watching the one and only Sport Icon. Bow!
Hello everybody, hope you're all doing fantastic. So it's the beginning of the month and it's time to go through a new top 25 British and Irish heavyweights. Of course, we've had some British and Irish heavyweights fighting in the month of June, so naturally changes have to be made. Now, this isn't my top 25, this is your top 25. I came up with the top 25 originally. A lot of you were dropping your comments here and there over the last couple of months. Adjustments have been made. So collectively, this is our top 25. I said, we're never going to please everybody. I don't totally agree with the entire order, but collectively, a lot of us can agree on most of it. So if you are new to this channel, make sure you are subscribed. These are the kind of videos that we talk about fighters that don't get the headline news, they don't get videos by YouTubers and all that kind of stuff. So it's very handy to know who's who and who's fighting who and who they are, and get to see the landscape of the heavyweight division for certain sanctioning bodies, and this particular one, the British and Irish. Okay, so make sure you are subscribed. It's free, it's brilliant. Anyway, so here is the new top 25 for the month of July. Number 25, Muhammad Salim. Number 24, Moses Atuma. Number 23, Jay McFarlane. Number 22, Jose Stewart. Number 21, Nick Campbell. Number 20, Cash Ali. Number 19, Matty Harris. Number 18, Thomas Carty. Number 17, Franklin Ignatius. Number 16, Johnny Fisher. Number 15, Stephen Robinson. Number 14, Nathan Gorman. Number 13, Jamie TKV. Number 12, David Adelaide. Number 11, Solomon Dakers. Number 10, Fraser Clark. Number 9, Dave Allen. Number 8, Derek Chisora. Number 7, if I can speak. Number 7, Fabio Wardley. Number 6, Hughie Fury. Number 5, Darren Dubois. Number 4, Joe Joyce. Number 3, Dillian Whyte. Number 2, Anthony Joshua. And number 1, Tyson Fury. So there is a new top 25 for the month of July. Now, there have been quite a few fights that have happened, fighters on this list, so I'm going to go through them, and of course I'll point out all the changes, see what fights have recently happened, what fights are coming up in that as well. So it gives everybody a good idea of the landscape for the British and Irish heavyweights. So number 25 would be a fresh insert in Muhammad Salim. He's a Scottish heavyweight, he's undefeated, I think he's 5-0. Anyway, the reason why I put him in is because he's doing something that I want and most of you want, which is, you're a prospect, that's great. You do need certain guidance and whatever else. But if there's an opportunity, risk your O. Fight somebody else. Fight somebody who could be a risk for you. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's fighting for the Scottish Heavyweight Championship against Jay McFarlane. Now, Jay McFarlane last time out, he lost to Thomas Carty. Jay McFarlane, of course, he's been in there with quite a few fighters. He's got some wins, he's got some losses, and whatever else, of course. But Muhammad Salim doesn't need to do this, but he's choosing to do it. He could just continue and fight in journeyman, all that kind of stuff, but no, he's risking it. So these are the kind of fighters that I like, I respect, and a lot of you will do too. So big up to Muhammad Salim. So that would mean dropped out this month is Tommy Squelch. Now, he's 11-0, Tommy Welsh, and he's only been doing 6-rounders against extreme journeymen. Now, when you're 11-0, 11 fights deep, do you really need to be fighting extreme journeymen? Do you need to be doing 6-rounders still? And not only that, in his last fight, he fought an absolute pudding who couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag, and Tommy gassed after 2 rounds. So this is a guy who isn't stepping up. For me, for most of you, that's not good enough. If Tommy wants to get in this list, then he needs to fight somebody on this list. Very, very simple, isn't it? Now, I'll give you an example. I think it was Tommy Welsh's 7th or 8th fight or something like that. He took on Jake Darnell. Didn't look great in that fight at all. He didn't. Will Howe just fought Jake Darnell on his pro debut. William Howe is now 1-0. Peter Fury fighter. From my neck of the woods, he's a good friend of mine. 1-0 against Jake Darnell and dominated him. Whereas Tommy Welsh, I wouldn't say he struggled with him, but it didn't look great. It didn't. And now he's 11-0 and he just ain't fighting no one. He talks a lot, but ain't doing a lot. So Tommy, pull your damn socks up. You want to be your dad? We'll get cracking. So that's that one. Now, fights that have happened in June, which of course now we're about to make a couple of changes, which I'm sure some of you will have noticed if you remember any of last month, is Fraser Clark. He's at number 10. Fraser Clark, he beat Marius Wack on points. Now, firstly, that was Fraser Clark's, was it 7th professional fight? Fighting a Marius Wack in your 7th professional fight is actually pretty good. So let's give him credit. Did he get a knockout? No, but how many people do actually get knockouts against Marius Wack? It's only really like Martin Bacoli and I think Alexander Povetkin and one or two others. That's pretty much it. Okay, so it's no great surprise that Fraser Clark didn't knock him out, especially in the fact that it was in that very small arena that was extremely, extremely hot. They couldn't get the air conditioning working and all that kind of stuff. So it was very, very hot. Fraser Clark went the distance. So it's great that he went distance because now he's got some rounds in. But most importantly, he got the win as well. He got the win and he got the rounds. So congratulations to Fraser Clark. Be interested to see what he does next. We'll have a little bit of a chat about that as this video goes along. Also fought in June, David Adley. I've forgotten the guy who he fought. It'd be very handy if I had notes in front of me, wouldn't it? I've forgotten the guy's name that David Adley fought, but on paper, he looked pretty good. I think he was a German guy, only lost once to Filip Herkovic. So David Adley fighting this guy weren't bad. I mean, I'd prefer if David Adley would stop fighting these Europeans. I would really like it. But hey, you know what? That's just the Queensberry way. But either way, David Adley, he didn't look great, but he got the win. And that's what's most importantly. It looks like he could well be fighting Fabio Wardley at some point. Not next to Fabio Wardley, maybe Fabio Wardley's fight after then. That's what I'm hearing. Anyway, also fought this month is Johnny Fisher. He fought Southpaw. Again, I forgot the guy's name. I'll really need to start making notes, as I said. But Johnny Fisher gets him out of there in round number 1. Now, the opponent that he fought wasn't a great opponent, but he was okay. He got a win over Nkosi Solomon, who's a big prospect from America. That guy beat Nkosi Solomon. Johnny Fisher just went in there and just blitzed him. So, well done, Johnny Fisher. Well done. The Bosch Army keeps on moving forward with the old Romford Bull. So, well done to him. And we'll talk about what he could be doing next in a second. Hosea Stewart is also somebody who fought, and he got a draw against Lamar Griggs. It's a fight that he should really win. Now, don't be wrong, Lamar Griggs is actually tougher than what a lot of people seem to think that he is. But Hosea Stewart, in his last 3 fights, he hasn't picked up a win. He hasn't. So that's why he's all the way down there in number 22. He's got like a lot of potential. He really does. He's actually a very good boxer. But over like his last 3 fights, he hasn't looked great. Okay, granted, 2 of them were against Franklin Ignatius, who's actually a very, very good fighter. We'll talk about him in a second. But he got a draw against Franklin Ignatius in the first fight, lost to Franklin Ignatius in the second fight, and now he's got a draw against Lamar Griggs. Hosea Stewart needs to do something. I don't know whether he needs to change trainers, teams, gym. He needs to do something. Okay? But listen, for me, if I'm him, I'm calling out Tommy Welsh. I'm calling out Nick Campbell. I'm doing something like that. He needs to get a move on. He really does. Anyway, so that's all the fighters who fought in June. So fights that are coming up. Well, let's start off with, of course, my good pal in Stephen Robinson. He's going to be taking on Franklin Ignatius. Franklin Ignatius is currently undefeated. As we just spoke about, he defeated Hosea Stewart. That was in Franklin Ignatius' last fight. So Franklin Ignatius just defeated an undefeated fighter. So big props to Franklin Ignatius. Stephen Robinson last time out knocked out Nick Campbell, who was the undefeated Scottish heavyweight champion. And now, rather than them two just going to go fight a journeyman, maybe pick up a few more wins, they're risking it. They're going to fight each other. And that's what we want, isn't it? That's exactly what we want. So big up to Stephen, big up to Franklin for putting this fight on, for risking it. Other heavyweights, take note. Okay, so other fights that are made and that are coming up. Oh, by the way, Stephen Robinson and Franklin Ignatius, they're going to be fighting next Friday on July the 14th. Unfortunately, I'm not here. I'm actually away on that one. Otherwise, I'll be right there front and centre supporting my good pal Stephen, but I'm actually going to be away on holiday. Hey, what can you do? My wife booked it. Anyway, so other fights that have been made will be Dillian Dubois taking on the unified heavyweight world champion in Alexander Usyk. That'll be happening at the tail end of August, and it will be taking place in Poland. Okay, so Dillian Dubois, Could he be a unified world heavyweight champion? We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so other fights that looks like they have been made at least anyway. Well, it's not official yet. I think it's official on Wednesday. So tomorrow will be Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte. So that is number 2 versus number 3. It's a rematch. These guys, of course, fought before 8 years ago. They're now got pretty much totally different styles nowadays. And, of course, totally different coaches nowadays as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see who wins this one. It really will. But that's kind of like the only kind of fights that are made currently out of any of this crop that we know we've already spoken about. Muhammad Salim, of course, against Jay McFarlane. What's happening with Tyson Fury? Number 1. Our number 1, right? What's happening with him? Who's he fighting? He's been giving us a promise that he's fighting somebody over the last several weeks, but no announcement yet. Hopefully an announcement comes real soon. But what we're hearing is that he won't be defending that WBC World Heavyweight Champion like a champion does. Instead, he's going to fight Francis Ngannou in an exhibition fight. So in other words, he can't hurt Ngannou, he can't drop him, he can't do anything like that. It's just an exhibition. That's what we're hearing, right? Maybe it's wrong, who knows. Okay, so other rumours is Dave Allen. Dave Allen, of course, is number 9. He announced on Sunday via his social media on Instagram that he's in fact now agreed a big fight. And he'll let us all know who that is going to be against very soon. Now, what I'm hearing is that it's not going to be Fabio Wardley. So who could it possibly be? Well, my guess, and that's all it is, it's just a guess, there's no inside intel on this one. I believe it's going to be Derek Chisora. I believe Dave Allen will fight Derek Chisora. There's a very real chance I'm going to be wrong on that one, but that's the fight that I think is going to happen. I really do. So, but we'll have to wait and see. Official confirmation from Dave Allen in due course. Fabio Wardley, of course, he's the British heavyweight champion, and he's number 7 on this list. Who's he going to fight next? As we know, that Fraser Clark fight, that kind of like a fell apart last minute, and Fabio wants to defend his British heavyweight championship 3 times so he can win it outright. So he needs his first defence. Who's that going to be against? My guess is probably going to be the English heavyweight champion, Solomon Dakers. I think Fabio may end up fighting Solomon Dakers next. If he gets past Solomon Dakers, then maybe defend it against David Adelaide. But I do believe it's probably going to be Solomon Dakers. It's an in-house fight. They're both matchroom. Should be pretty simple to make. Dakers is the English champion, so he's actually the natural one to fight for the British, isn't he? Let's pull out another name here. Let's look at number 13, Jamie TKV. He fought about 2 months ago. He fought in Poland, looked real good, got the knockout. Good guy as well. Of course, I've interviewed him. He's a fantastic guy. He's got a lot of ambition. The guy that he really wants is Fraser Clark. But Fraser Clark, for some reason, is talking about a fight in the future. I don't know why fighters talk about fights in future. See, Jamie TKV, he's quite happy to fight Fraser Clark now. Let's fight now. Fraser wants to build it a little bit and then fight. I understand if they can get to that point at some point, both of them are going to be earning good money, maybe for a title and all that kind of good stuff. But let's go back to what I was talking about with Stephen Robinson and Franklin Ignatius. Muhammad Salim taking on Jay McFarlane. Stephen Robinson taking on Nick Campbell. Franklin Ignatius taking on Jose Stewart. These kind of ones, they're fighting each other, prospects. No reason in the world these two can't fight. TKV wants it. Does Fraser Clark? I think Fraser Clark believes that he beats TKV. So let's see it. Let's see the fight. Why not? There's nothing wrong with one of these fellas taking a loss. It's boxing. You're supposed to lose sometimes, especially when you risk it. You get more credit for risking it and losing than you do taking on bums. Best way to do it. Okay, let's look at, say, number 16, Johnny Fisher. Who's he going to fight next? Well, he wants to fight for their area title, but obviously he can't do that because Franklin Ignatius is going to be fighting Stephen Robinson. So his only other option to fight for the area title would be against the old Squelch boy, Tommy Welsh. Tommy Welsh said to me that he wants to fight Johnny Fisher. I think he's just talking hot air. I think if Johnny Fisher actually offered him the fight for the area title, Tommy Welsh will say no. Guarantee it, he'll say no. Tommy Welsh does not want that Johnny Fisher smoke. He doesn't want that bull army. He can say that he does, but he don't. He really don't. So maybe we can see Johnny Fisher take on Nick Campbell. Now, last time out, I said before, he fought that Southpaw guy, but Johnny Fisher and his team were looking at Nick Campbell. I believe Nick Campbell turned it down, or his team turned down that fight. Maybe it was a timing thing. Obviously, Nick Campbell's in camp for Joseph Parker and whatever else. So maybe now they've got the time, they can agree the fight and get the fight on. If Nick Campbell wants to get back on TV and back in the headlines, then this is the kind of fight he needs to take. It really is. So let's see if they can get that fight done. If, of course, Johnny Fisher is okay about not fighting for the area title, but if he really wants it and Tommy Squelch ducks it, let's see old Nick Campbell. Hughie Fury, he's going to be fighting in August. I believe it's towards the end of August. Against who? We don't know. I imagine it's going to be a gatekeeper or just a guy to get Hughie back into the ring. I mean, it's been, nearly 2 years now? 18 months now? So, obviously, he needs to get back in the ring, get under the lights, get the ring rust off, and then let's see where he goes. And I'd like to see Hughie Fury, after that fight, take on Michael Hunter, take on Martin Bacoli. These kind of guys. Let's see where Hughie Fury's at. I'm a big believer in Hughie Fury, and let's see him fulfill his potential. Let's pull out the name of number 19, Matty Harris. Looking real good, knocking out people. He's a huge old unit. If anybody out there is fighting Tyson Fury, Matty Harris is the ideal sparring partner, as quite a few people have chosen, of course. Big old guy, very, very young guy as well. Strong as a bull, punches like a mule, kicks. I'll be interested to see him fight Thomas Carty. That's a good fight. Again, that's what we're talking about. Prospects fighting each other. Nothing wrong with it. No point in building up records and resumes and all that kind of stuff. Wait, we can build your resume, but get some good wins on your resume. How much you're really learning by knocking over people in the first couple of rounds? You're not really learning too much. So let's see what Matty Harris and Thomas Carty have. Again, nothing wrong with either one of these two taking a loss. Get that fight on. Thomas Carty is a Dillian Whyte managed fighter. Matchroom fighter now, kind of. And Harris is a Wasserman fighter. Calla Sauerland, Mr. Sauerlands, they work with Matchroom. So there's no reason in the world why that fight can't happen. Anyway, I think I've blabbed on enough. This video went on for quite some time, actually much longer than I thought. So it's going to take me forever to edit it. So I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you are subscribed, drop your comments, and I'll catch you all on the next video.